My name is Jonathan Rentería. I'm running for City Council District 4, South Omaha. I was born in Fresno, California, grew up in Emporia, Kansas for a little bit, house burned down, we moved to Nebraska, been in Omaha about 20 years now. Started out in like the Bellevue kind of, like right south of South Omaha, living with family in a basement, just a crowded, the standard situation. You show up somewhere, you try to make the most of the situation. So Bellevue, downtown, West Omaha, South Omaha, South Omaha. I went to Burke for 3 years. I didn't necessarily like it. I liked parts of it. They did a good job with the education component. Graduated from Omaha South. I think the people are what makes Omaha cool. There's a lot of people that have really good intentions. They work in different spaces to make Omaha a better place. So yeah, the people. Yeah, so I think it's been like a culmination of the experiences I've had trying to reach out to leaders in our community that's elected, that's any kind of like grass tops leader, and having a negative experience with them basically saying, you have the right intention, but not necessarily the right method of action. Like we like what you're saying, but we can't necessarily do anything with it. So now I want to put myself in a position where I would never ignore people that have an issue. I would help them. Like if something's not my problem, I'll make it my problem, which is what we've had issues with in the past. So now this is the version of me stepping up to address some of those issues. So the basic services that you expect, like making sure that your trash is picked up, making sure that your streets are clean, making sure that your city is safe as far as being able to walk or drive from one place to another. So that's basically it. Just to make sure that you're safe and healthy, bare minimum. So that could be just setting standards for different like ways of living. If you live in an apartment or house, like there are certain things that a landlord or the city has to provide to make sure that it's safe. Sure. So with the city council, there's like a minimum requirement for the city council to show up and address those basic issues. The mayor can have her own projects, her own budget, and that's sent to the city council to approve or disapprove or work with them on that. So that's what I would do, is make sure that any kind of budget, any kind of programs that are proposed by the mayor are done so in a way that benefits the community in the short run and the long run. So going back to what the basic functions of the city council are, it's to provide a minimum, basically, standard of livability in a city. I want to make sure that it's not that we're just surviving, that we're actually thriving. So that's investing in things like universal childcare, universal public transit, preventative health care through city health clinics, and also making it so that we have some kind of actual long-term promotional campaign to get people back into the city. Because people have left for different reasons. That could be for discrimination, lack of opportunity. That could be because they just don't like the culture. So as we're building up Omaha, we need to be intentional about bringing some of those people back, because they had ideas. That's why they left. Maybe their ideas didn't match with what we had here, but if we could incorporate some of that energy that might have left the city, I think it will be like a self-fulfilling, like a feedback loop, where that energy we put in is going to come back tenfold. And that's what I feel like has been lacking in our city, is that we put money into big projects and hope that it's one of those things where if you build it, they will come. But people have energy in different pockets of the city. And what I want to do is address that specific issue and make sure they have the resources to do something with that. Yeah, I think that homelessness is a manufactured problem. I think it's something that's like kind of held over people to keep them in the position that they're in for perpetuity. So basically, if you have a job and you have to pay rent or a mortgage, you're less likely to speak out against your employer, go to a protest, do things that would go against the situation that you're in. Maybe it's precarious, or maybe you don't have benefits and you want to fight for whatever rights, like extra sick days. If you are in a position where you are dependent on a job for housing, you might not necessarily speak out. So I want to make sure that the city is investing in affordable housing, low-income housing, so that people aren't tied to a job or a landlord or a mortgage, like specifically to better themselves. So like people feel stuck for different reasons. I want to make sure that you have access to a car or to transportation, different opportunities to get around the city, have your kids taken care of, address your healthcare needs so that you don't feel like you're burning the candle on both ends. And you can like actually maybe schedule a job interview or get higher education, or like have your kids go to college because you don't have the resources at the time, whatever it is. You can subsidize that in a way where like maybe they don't have a car, but they can get around town, they can get to school. There's so many programs that we can set up. But right now, it's basically we're trying to guarantee the long-term wealth of certain few groups of individuals and hoping that that will trickle down to the rest of us. yeah, it's nice that we get big, giant apartment complexes, and some amount of them are going to be affordable housing units. But for the long run, that's potentially pricing out the neighborhood in the vicinity of that complex. So that's what I want to address and make sure that as we're growing, we're not leaving people behind, even if we are like assigning or like setting aside 10%, whatever it is, to like low income people or unhoused people. Like it might be the case where a rising tide lifts all boats, but some people have holes in their boats. So, like there's waves that come crashing down, and we got little like tiny little canoes, and some people are on like the Titanic. So like we need to like make sure that like I said, as we grow, we're doing it intentionally, and we're like being mindful of the long-term impacts of like making one part of town really, really nice. Like you might lose some of the character that it had before. So I think that we have it's almost like an emergency response, like emergency room kind of mentality when it comes to public safety. So if there's something bad that happens, you might have 10 squad cars show up. Like I want to make sure that we address the issue that caused those 10 squad cars to have to show up. Like that might be an overreaction, that might be an underreaction. I don't care about that. I want to address the specific reason that call was made, like why there was a dispatch. So I worked at the Hope Center for Kids. I was a kitchen coordinator. I fed kids, like 100 kids sometimes a night. I probably fed thousands of meals to like low income families. And what I learned in that time is that people want hope. People want like an opportunity to do better. It's not like anybody like wakes up every morning like, how am I going to ruin my life today? No, it's never like that. So what I want to do is make sure that people are fed, people have opportunities, and that people have the actual ambition. Like there's like some energy in the city where it's like you want to do better because other people around you are doing better and they're setting an example. And if you're getting left behind, it's because of your own choices. That's it. Like so right now there's disillusionment because you can only make so many choices. Like I have made some good choices and I made some not so good choices. But the momentum has led me to where I am today. And it's been the people behind me that kept pushing me to get me to where I am today. Like a lot of kids like growing up right now don't necessarily have that. And the bare minimum I can do as like a city council member is giving them like that floor. Like you won't ever like fall below that floor. You'll always be able to eat. You'll always be able to have somewhere to hang out. You always have a group of friends, like some community members that care about you. That's it. And like I provided that in like the most basic way, like in my role, just feeding kids, like giving them the chance to like help feed their friends. And that little spark right there is enough to keep a lot of people out of trouble. So that's all I want to do is give people a chance to like do something with their hands. It's like one of those like that phrase, idle hands are the devil's playground. It's like I adopted it for myself. If that's true, like my hands are worlds of fun. There's another phrase, the lonely child burns the village to feel its warmth. Like we are just like hyper focused on punishment in this city, and like the mayor herself said, like crime is down right now, but we don't expect it to be down forever. So what kind of mentality is that to approach? And like we should be like clapping. It's like what have we done right, and how can we keep doing that? And how do we like put more energy and resources into that those specific programs? So that's where I'm at. I think, yeah, like we might have things pop off every now and then, but like why? It's like if people had an actual community around them holding them accountable. Like I had kids like in the program that like, hey, like what was that thing that happened the other day? Like what were you part of that? Like we can do that, but we don't need like police hovering over our shoulder to tell us how to do that, how to have those conversations. Sure. So I think right now the city has its own set of plans as far as the master plan and overall development over the next however many years. Developers, same thing, they have their own plans. I don't feel like enough of that includes South Omaha or has included South Omaha up until this point. We do have some money coming to South though for the Plaza de la Raza, which is where Cinco de Mayo is held. But like that's like one little like hyper-focused development project that doesn't necessarily spread out to the rest of the district. It is like a tourist attraction. It is a nice thing to visit. I love 24th Street, but it's not the only part of South Omaha. So like there are plenty of spaces that are undeveloped. There are ways, resources, programs that exist to get development to start happening. I think the way that TIF, tax increment financing, is set up, it incentivizes bigger projects. I think we could work on some medium to small size projects, specifically single family homes, maybe duplexes, townhomes, get some more density in South Omaha. I know that there are developers working on that kind of thing, but I don't necessarily see it as having to be tied to a specific nonprofit or some of the big developers. We have programs to encourage small and emerging businesses to get involved in that. So I want to see more money and actual staff dedicated to programs like that. That's in the Department of Human Rights and Relations. So they have programs that exist to make economic development happen like more fairly, more equitably, but it's not necessarily that's not where the plans originate. So I think right now the way, kind of like what I was alluding to about the emergency response, like in terms of public safety, like and the environment is a public safety concern. So when there's like a giant hailstorm, when there's wind, when there's ice, like power lines can go down, like cell phones can start acting up, people's like can start freezing to death. Like there's all kinds of like emergencies that happen in such a widespread part of town that we can't have it be where it's just the police that reacts. We need to have an actual department of some kind of emergency preparedness, like a FEMA for the city, because otherwise, like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have pockets of town without power and water potentially, depending on like what happens for like weeks at a time, like, and hope that the federal government comes in to save us, and like I expect that in the long run we're gonna be okay. So like that's something that like we should be proactive about now, because we've had like the scares, we've had flash floods, we've had bomb cyclones, or we've had like snow and ice like piled on top of each other, power lines down. Pockets of town lose power all the time. It's not always like super well broadcast, but there's real consequences to that. Like people lose like access to the internet. They might lose their job because like, oh, this is the fifth time you lost your internet. People's like medications might go bad because they're in the refrigerator. Like people might lose food. Like these are real consequences. Like people might say, oh, you should have a generator. It's like everyone's gonna have a generator? That's crazy. So yeah, I think we should have some kind of emergency department for the climate specifically to do some short-term resilience building for like some of that flash flood stuff, losing power. If we need emergency generators in certain parts of towns, like have the ability to like maybe move some to certain parts. Like if you need to like get power for one day, maybe better than being without for 5. So yeah, it's a big concern. At this point, I don't see many other council members or candidates working aggressively to address the emergency, but I would definitely raise that alarm. I think some amount of private conversations are expected, because like there's like trade secrets and then like maybe there's business decisions that are being made. I don't think that should be the norm for the entire conversation, or like have it be where the community members don't find out about a project until the last minute before like the final hearing, and it's already like been in the works for months or like a year or whatever it is. So my approach would be to potentially amend the city charter to add more council members, because like as a city council member, I might be in charge of just like 50,000 people. Like the districts are crazy. So it's like, why can't we have a few more people to be able to mediate some of those conversations, actually correspond with the constituents more directly and on a regular basis? Because email, I can only read so many, I can only delegate so many. Text messages, phone calls, all the voicemails. There's so many different channels to try to get, and then the city email. So like, I personally am a community organizer with all kinds of channels for people to get a hold of me. As a city council member, that's a little bit more amplified. So like, I want to make sure, okay, maybe we need more council members at large, like for the specific districts. I'm willing to have those conversations, but at the end of the day, like, there needs to be a process for feedback. It's the notices for projects should be centralized, not distributed neighborhood by neighborhood, association by association, which is kind of how it happens right now. It's like I have friends that are in charge of neighborhood associations not getting the notices that they should, so I had to forward them to them. So that's not appropriate. Little things like that, and then training the constituents, the voters, like, hey, you can ask for an open records request. Like I will teach people, like, hey, you go to this website, you say, I want this. If it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of whatever documents to sift through, emails, like it might charge you. Like I would like work to restrict that or lower it, whatever it is, so people get access to that. But there's a process, and friends of mine have used it, and I'm definitely willing to train people on that. Like I don't have anything to hide. Like if someone emails me, they should expect that someone else might see it. One of the biggest providers of mental health services is like the county jail. So like people Like if somebody's having an episode or going through something, like, and they're not necessarily in their own home, and someone sees them on the street, somebody like they would probably get the police called on them. So like if somebody's in jail, they're not necessarily receiving the services that they need to like address their current episode, their state of mind. So we need to like again go away from responding to things like an emergency and having proactive solutions where maybe there's that clinic, the like city health clinics, like set up all over town, little pop-ups, like dedicated spaces where people, if they're having an episode, they need medication, they need to talk to somebody, they just need to like have a plan to get out of the spiral that they're in. Like that's something that would go further than like having like an emergency co-responder, like a mental health like therapist, like that goes with a police officer or two. That might be more triggering to that person that's going through that episode. It's like, oh, you're sending like these uniformed people to take me somewhere I don't know. It's like that's not helpful for everybody. Like some people, like sure they might be a danger, but like I haven't seen it. Like most people need help. So I've looked at like the top line numbers and it's pretty standard. It's like percentage increases, like there's raises, that kind of thing. Not necessarily changing anything or like implementing any new programs. So no surprises in the budget. I'm a little disappointed that there's not more proactive like funding being dedicated towards some of that emergency climate kind of stuff. Because like I said, we have had emergencies already. Like there was that tornado that happened out in like Elkhorn. There was emergency money set aside to address that situation, and not all of it was used, as far as I know. So it was clawed back. It's like, why can't we just have like a standing like fund for that kind of stuff? It's like so we don't have to like go to the council members and say, hey, like hold our hands out, like, hey, we need your help right now. Like there should be maybe the neighborhood associations can help with that kind of thing. There's people that care about all the issues. It's just like not being involved or like have been pushed to the side for a while now. Yeah, on transportation, I'm happy that we recently elected our first board for the Regional Metro Transit Authority. I worked on the campaign for Yanita Garcia, so I'm really happy about that. She is an ally and advocate for public transit and getting as many people as possible to ride the public transit options that are available in Omaha and will be available in the coming years. So that would be like any kind of shuttles, that'd be light rail if it ends up happening, and the bus system as a whole. So what I'm excited for is we're going to be implementing as a city a micro transit project. So people will be able to order a ride from point A to point B. If it is along a route, you'll be able to get dropped off along the route. If it's within the transit zone but not along the route, you could get directly transported to your location. So that's super cool. They're going to be piloting it at $3 a ride, as far as I know. So that was through some of their feedback sessions. So there are projects in the works to get better transit options available, but it's not necessarily fully funded for the future permanently. So it's a 3-year pilot project funded by, I believe, the Sherwood Foundation. So it's philanthropy kicking in, but we need people and community members, council members to say this is going to be permanent and like have it be where like maybe the schools have like little bus stops. We have more shelters. So like I am an advocate of public transit because I've had to use it and it has been frustrating in the past. Not just as far as like the accessibility and the, what's it called? The timeliness, like all the things that people would talk smack about the bus, they're true. They're true. Like we could do better. And but it's not anyone's specific fault. To add on to that, there are ways to make things free. And it's not necessarily where it's like $1 spent is $1 lost. Like there's something called the velocity of money. So you spend $1 in a community, as long as that dollar stays in that community among its community members, that dollar turns into 10, 20 if you want it to. It's like people have figured it out. Like that's what this is about. It's like if you spend your money on a local transit authority and we hold on to it, we can shuffle that around so many times over and help people with that. So right now there is some amount of money being spent on the arts, but it's a lot of like bigger projects or bigger nonprofits, that kind of thing. I think there should be more of a focus on upcoming artists or like basically returning artists. So like there's people that, like I said, have left Omaha. I want them to come back. Like we have so much potential for like regrowth, not just growth, but like bring people back that were already growing and let them grow again. So I think if we create some kind of artist in residency programs, if we did more grants to like fund like seed projects, so like maybe a startup nonprofit that focuses on different types of art, do partnerships with local agencies or cooperatives to make it so that these up and coming artists, people that have already established themselves, have a pathway to developing their work, their portfolio, and bringing other people into the fold in that process. Like right now, there are some well-known artists. They have had the opportunity to put themselves out there and get some, recognition for their work. I think there's a lot of kids that have talent, and there's a lot of older folks that have talent, and there's a little bit of a gap there. It's like as people transition from one stage to another, like there's not necessarily that same opportunity to share your art in that process. So yeah, I want to make sure that people have opportunities to not only like share their current art, but to like keep being an artist, even if it's not like a job. Like that's the whole point of like creating art, is like expressing yourself. Like I like poetry, I like writing, public speaking, not whatever. But it's like there's different things that people like and want to be able to like flex that muscle, like not necessarily lose that, because it is like riding a bike. You don't ever forget how to create art or how to like express yourself, but it's like it might not be something that you're allowed to do or have the capacity to do. And that's what this whole campaign's about. Is like I want people to like be able to be themselves. That's in like a job. Like I want you to be able to have a job you like. That's so you can take the time off and ride the bus, like all this stuff. I want you to be able to work on art you enjoy. Like not because like you're a creative person working for a corporation. Like I want you to do stuff you like, even if in your day to day, your 9 to 5, you might not like it 100%. We're gonna try to do things around to make the rest of your life better, and then you can pivot to making that part of your life better. So yeah, that's it. It's like I'm not a politician by nature. I'm an organizer, but it's like they can overlap a little bit. So I think diversity is what makes us great as a country. Like the whole melting pot thing, the reason that's been a part of the national identity for so long is because that's what makes us impossible to take down as a country. So like if we are able to take in and adapt to like all these different identities and all these different circumstances, in the long run, like we're stronger, we're more resilient. Like if an emergency happens, somebody might know based on culture, based on personal, whatever it is, how to respond to that and how to train people. So I think DEI, all it means is like a diversity of experiences. Like it doesn't have to be because you're gay, because you're trans, because you're brown, black, you're a veteran. It's because you have a diverse set of experiences that makes you qualified for the job and then some. So like I am qualified for the job of city council member because of my diversity of experiences. I'm not necessarily checking every single box, but if you put me next to other people, you might hire me. That's it. So I think going after DEI is like a red herring, a straw man. It's going after diversity of experiences and trying to put people into boxes so that they don't ever step out of that box. They don't ever ask for more. Like I'm not boxable. It's like I'm telling you, you should ask for more, and I will help people ask for more. That's what all this is about. Like I mentioned, I'm a community organizer. That's a version of art. It's like being able to bring people together, create energy, share a space, work on a goal, and then like put that on a canvas. That's the community. It's like I have my set of experiences. I'm trying to bring other people into the fold with their experiences. I think attacking DEI is a load of just a load of It's like you're so scared of other people's experiences that you won't even let them into the room. It's almost like a reflex to diversity or to equity and inclusion. Like that. So when somebody is potentially put forward as a name to be put on a commission or some kind of advisory board, some people will question that person's being placed there because of some like letters attached to like some like the DEI stuff. So like I think that we should, as we're moving away from the Supreme Court deciding that race isn't okay to talk about in these decisions, like basically saying that if you consider race, it might be an illegal action because it's like reverse racism against white people. I think that's silly, but we can address that through other means. Like we don't have to say, oh, we're gonna pick someone based on melanin. No, we want someone from the community. We want this, this, and this. So like as a representative, you can ask for other stipulations in like a nomination. So I would fight to make sure that those things are requirements that make it so that people like me, people like you, people like our community are on these boards, on these commissions, and they have an actual say in some policy decisions. It's like right now, it's like if you try to put someone forward, it's like, why? I was like, well, because they're qualified and because they care about stuff, and that's it. So like, I think as we change the culture around like civic engagement and people being involved, and as we change that, our politicians, our elected officials won't be able to look at us with that side eye, like, oh, it's just because of this or it's just because of that. No, it's because I've been here. Like I'm informed on the issues. I'm from that professional community. It's like if it's for healthcare, like I got a doctorate or something like that. That's like you can't question that. Like it's literally this is an accredited university. I took the courses and I've been working this job. I'm qualified. So like I think as we organize the community, we'll find those people that are qualified for those positions and we'll put them where they need to be. That's it. Hola, me llamo Jonathan Flaco Rentería. Estoy apostolándome por la posición de Consejo Municipal, Distrito 4, el sur de Omaha. Lo que quiero decir es que hay muchas razones por qué votar este martes que viene. La única razón que necesitan, la razón más importante sería por su familia. Hay mucha gente que están asustados ahorita. Lo que yo quiero hacer es trabajar por la comunidad para que no tienen tantas razones por estar tan estresados. Quiero tener programas de guarderías universales, transporte público universal y clínicas con la ciudad que le pueden dar acceso a aseguranza, a cuidado médico para que se puedan cuidar y se pueden mantener saludables para que no tienen que trabajar tanto, tan duro y ganar tan poco. Eso es todo. Quiero que salgan este martes que viene. Que Dios les bendiga. Gracias. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I think the biggest changes come when we get out of our comfort zone. I am on the search committee to find candidates to run for office, and I looked for someone to run for this specific position. And everyone I talked to basically said, it should just be you. So I was like, this is not to brag, it's just like, I don't want to be in this position. Like, I'm not saying like, don't vote for me. No, I'm saying, step up, vote for me, and keep organizing. Find a way to get plugged in. Find friends that care about something and do something about it. And like build up that muscle memory, that momentum for change. And then you'll get drafted for something. Like people will see that you're doing something and they'll ask you to step up and do something different. And in that moment, it's important to at least put one foot forward because somebody else might do the same.